Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. What we're going to make are brownies, but we're going to make cinnamon brownies. You know, I really have never tried cinnamon brownies before, and I gotta tell you, I tried them at a friend's house, and in fact, she's the one that gave me the recipe, and I thought they were absolutely great, especially if you like cinnamon. They just have a great velvety, fudgy texture to them, and then you taste that cinnamon, and it really are good. So let's get started. First up, I'm going to tell you I no longer put the recipe below the video, so I'm sorry about that. But hopefully I'll go through clearly enough and slowly enough that you'll be able to jot the recipe down if that's what you want to do. Okay? Now, what you'll want to do is to start off with 3/4 of a cup of melted butter. And I would suggest to let that melted butter cool down because we're going to be mixing eggs in a few minutes and we don't want to make scrambled eggs. I actually just melt my butter in the microwave. I find it really fast and quick to do that. So I'm going to first put in my 3/4 cups of melted butter into my mixing bowl. Now you can use your hand mixer if you prefer. I like to use the stand because I think it's quicker for the videos. The second thing that I'm going to put in is granulated sugar. You need 1 2/3 cups of granulated sugar. So I'm just going to put that 1 2/3 cups right in the butter. I'm going to warn you about the sound because it might be loud on your end, so I'll give you a heads up every time I turn on the mixer. But basically I just want to combine the two together, and it usually only will probably take you maybe about 2 minutes or so. I'm going to move it along to the video, so everything I'm going to move a little bit faster. So I'm going to blend that together, so give you a heads up on the sound. Now, spend whatever time that you need, at least at 2 or 2.5 minutes. What you're also going to be adding in this is a 2 tablespoons of strong brewed coffee, okay? And the coffee too is, you know, cool. It's not hot or anything like that. And then just beat these 3 things together till they're really smooth. And again, I'm going to turn on the mixer and do it a little bit quicker than if I was doing it without the video. Now, once again, you'll want to blend those 3 things quite well, you know, in your mixer, okay? The next thing that you're going to be putting in, you're going to beat in 2 eggs. I've had them at room temperature, and I'm going to beat 1 at a time. The next thing that I'm going to be putting in is vanilla. And you're going to need 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Now do spend some time in beating these together till it looks very smooth and silky, okay? So I'll give you a heads up on the sound. Now I normally wouldn't be that high of a speed, but as I mentioned just a few moments ago, it's only to, you know, speed it up for the video so I don't have to keep you folks too long watching, okay? All right, let's work on our dry ingredients. Now, what you're going to need is 1 1/3 cups of all-purpose flour, okay? You're going to be putting in 3/4 of a cup of unsweetened baking cocoa. Now this is not the cocoa mixes that, you know, you just add water and you make hot chocolate. This is unsweetened. And with my little whisk, I'm just going to try to bring it together a little bit here. You don't have to be fussy to, you know, mix it real well. All right. The next thing that we're going to do is put in cinnamon, because after all, these are cinnamon brownies. And we're going to put 1 tablespoon of cinnamon in. And then just give that a good stir. Okay. You're also going to be putting in a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. And then you're also going to be putting in a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And again, I'm just giving the dry a good stir. Okay. There we go. Now, I'm going to just slowly add the dry to the wet till it's combined well, but don't overbeat it because you don't want these brownies to be tough. So I'll warn you about the sound. Put in a little bit more, and then of course I'm going at low to medium high because I don't want this all to go all over the kitchen. And then I'm going to put the rest in of all the dry. And slowly beat it in again so that it doesn't go all over. And then once it's blended well, I'm going to raise my speed. Okay, again, you wouldn't beat that high, about medium, but again, bears repeating. Just want to move it along for the video. I'm going to take off my excess off my paddle. Okay. And then I'm going to finish up just mixing it with my spatula. Just set that aside. And that way you'll be able to see the batter. You don't want to overbeat it. Just make sure that it looks smooth and silky and it's well incorporated, that it's come together. And I don't know whether you'll see this or not, but it is very satiny smooth. There's no lumps and no bumps. Everything is mixed well but not overbeaten, okay? And you can really smell that chocolate and that cinnamon. Now when you bake it, your whole kitchen will smell, oh, so good. The next thing is you'll need a 13x9 pan. Heavily grease it or use your parchment paper, whatever you prefer. And then I'm just going to put all the batter. I'm going to try to raise the bowl a little bit higher so maybe you can see how nice and smooth and silky and velvety the batter is. And I'm going to just try to take out everything out of my mixing bowl, because baking is very enjoyable and a lot of fun, but you know, ingredients are expensive these days, so I try to get everything out of that bowl and not to waste anything. Okay, all right. And I'm just going to grab a butter knife here. and take off the excess. Okay. And then just smooth it out as best as you can into the corners and that kind of thing. And you're going to bake it at 350 degrees, and it's going to take you anywhere from maybe 18 to 22 minutes. Because you know, all our ovens set up so differently. So I start checking mine with either a toothpick or a cake tester within around that 13-minute mark, 14, just to see how it's coming along. These particular brownies, though, if you want to, when you're testing them, test them in the center. And if your toothpick or your cake tester comes out dry, you'll know that they're baked. They're fully baked. Try not to overbake them, because the brownies, then they lose that chewiness and that fudginess to them. And texture that you'll want. Then they become too dry, okay? So again, 350 degrees, 18 to 22 minutes. Now I'm going to set that aside for the moment. And I'd like to show you what they look like once they're baked up. I have some that kind of cracked here a little bit. They're a nice medium brown on the bottom. They will have you know, a semi-hard surface on the bottom. The top two will, you know, have a smooth, hard finish. And when you break them open, and I hope you'll be able to see this, how moist they are. As I'm just pushing them together, they become almost like one brownie instead of two pieces. The crumb on it is about medium, but you'll have that wonderful chew when you bite into it. You'll taste that chocolate, the cinnamon, and it'll have a very fudgy type chew to them. And they really are delicious. Now on the 13 by 9, and I just cracked my top piece. But just to give you an idea, that's the rest of the 13 by 9. So you're going to get a lot of brownies out of this recipe. You should be getting about 2 dozen out of them. Now it depends how big you want to make your brownies and cut them and whatever. Now if you want to sweeten them up, these are great with just some sifted over with some powdered sugar. Or you can make an icing for them, or a frosting, you know, a chocolate butter cream frosting. But again, most of the time I just put powdered sugar over them, and boy, people have really have loved them. So they're really great tasting brownies. They're pretty quick and easy to make. And if you try this recipe and you like it, well, please let me hear from you. Please write to me. But just to remind you again, I only put my videos on YouTube. So if you watch me on YouTube and you write to me on YouTube, I'll get your question or your comment, and I will do my best to answer in a timely fashion, okay? And if you're so inclined and you'd like to subscribe to my channel, well, I can't thank you enough. Or ring the bell, or give me a like. I really would appreciate it. So I want to thank you again for taking the time to watch Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. Stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.